that starting the next day, the days will slowly be getting lighter and longer again. So my name is Laurel Leifert. I serve this wonderful, warm, welcoming, generous, justice-loving community of seekers. And it's so good to be together and to see you all. You can see I'm in the Christmas spirit with my Christmas tree behind me in our holiday house. And our congregation is a welcoming congregation. We believe all people are worthy of love. And whether you come today with joy in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. So I wonder if we have any first-time visitors today. And if so, would you please type your contact information in the chat if you'd like to get more information about our congregation. And if you'd like, if you have the courage, you could actually unmute and introduce yourself. So I don't know if anybody is new here. But remember, tell your friends about our congregation. We don't want to keep this a secret. So, you know, we're still, unfortunately, in the time of the pandemic, which is why we're meeting virtually. And so we'll continue to do the best that we can. Chad Escalier is our Zoomer today, and so he'll keep people muted in order to have the best possible quality sound. And you will have a chance to unmute when we have our virtual coffee hour. So I would like to begin today by reminding us that we are part of something bigger, not only that great mystery of that great love that holds us all, but also we're part of the Unitarian Universalist Association. And so here is a greeting from Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, who is our UUA president.
Greetings, Unitarian Universalists. For so many reasons, this holiday season is different than any in memory. Dearly held traditions that bring us joy are pared down, virtual, or canceled altogether. Many of us are tired and grieving. We have lost too many loved ones this year: elders, mentors, family, friends. This is true in our personal lives, it is true in our congregations, and it is true for our faith as a whole. And grief always weighs heavier in the holidays, especially in a year such as this. One of the things that is keeping me grounded these days is remembering to stay in the present rather than dwelling on what cannot be. I welcome grief, yes. I welcome the emotions present in my heart and in my life, yes. And I stay present and open to what is before me today. The gift of sky, of sun, of earth, of stars, of life, of friends and loved ones. It is a challenge to shift my perspective away from what is missing, but when I do, when I'm able to stay in the present and let go of longing for what has been in the past, I find that there is a powerful yes waiting in this moment. A yes in a year full of negation and despair, an affirmation that the world is calling forth from us in this great season of turning. In this season of generosity and goodwill and peace, there is a yes. May we in this season, unlike any before, invite gratitude for the gifts that have emerged and continue to be present this year. We witness what can happen when people help one another and prioritize community over the self. We have become connected in ways new and different, ways that have allowed more people to connect to community and ministry. And at a time that has presented profound challenges, our communities have grown strong in both spirit and in faith. Instead of focusing on what cannot be, may we create new practices of gratitude and meaning that reflect the generosity, the humanity, and the compassion that are needed in our world today and that are needed to foster more love and more justice for the future. And may all of you, each of you, may we all find time to slow down this season and set aside the pressure and hecticness that is so often a part of the holidays. That has never been particularly helpful. So this year, when so much has been asked of us again and again, we all need and deserve rest. May you have rest this season. As I sit in the beautiful darkness of this season, I am reminded that life is nurtured in darkness, that seeds take root in the darkness of the soil, that babies are formed in the dark of the womb. The world is asking something new of us, and something new can be born from this time. And as we light candles, like we always do in this season, in ritual and celebration, let us embrace the mystery and the possibility of this very special time. In this season, I send you my love, my prayers, my care, and so many, many blessings to each and every one of you.
Well, I give thanks for Susan. She's our first woman UUA president and a wonderful woman. And so speaking of lighting candles, Fred, if you unmute, you are unmuted. Let's go ahead and do our chalice lighting.
Let this be a place of warm and gentle silence, the silence that soothes and comforts the wounded, the silence that yields insights into the heart and soul, the silence that calms, the silence that listens, the silence that speaks, the silence that renews. Let this be a place of warm and gentle silence. Come, let us worship together.
And if you'll now join me in our congregational affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its call. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. I invite you to arrive here fully now in your body, to be aware of the earth under your feet, to allow yourself to enter into the spirit of this earth-centered service as we prepare for the winter solstice. Let yourself relax as you watch and listen to this rather hypnotic chant, Earth My Body.
Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. water our blood, air our breath, and fire our spirit.
Unitarian Universalism has 7 principles and 6 different sources, not just one source like a Bible or a Quran. And our 6th source is what we celebrate today. The living tradition we share draws from spiritual teachings of the earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Ancient people saw the flow of time as circular, not linear, and the changing seasons were understood as a great wheel, the wheel of the year. And to this season was given the name Yule, which is an Anglo-Saxon word meaning wheel. This morning we gather to observe the turning of the wheel in this season. Tomorrow will be the longest night of the year, the shortest day in the Western Hemisphere, time of greatest darkness. And this is a pregnant darkness, because out of the darkness is born the rebirth of the sun. So the sun again will begin to grow stronger, the days will grow longer until we reach the time of the summer solstice next June. On this Sunday before the winter solstice, Namaqua's tradition has been to decorate wreaths with our wishes for the coming year and for things that we wish to let go of. We will do a virtual version of this later in the service. And then at the end of our holiday healing service tomorrow night, we'll imagine throwing the imaginary wreaths on the imaginary bonfire, and the imaginary smoke will carry our wishes into the night sky. So when we have done it in the past, it's been a glorious occasion where we gather at someone's house. Most recently, it's been at Kathy Hartman's. We enjoy a potluck and conversation. And then at some point, the drumming begins and we start chanting and walking out to the bonfire. And then we throw the wreaths on and the smoke carries our wishes into the night sky. In the past years, when we've met in our sanctuary, and met in person, because this is an earth-based ritual, we would begin by casting a circle to make our sanctuary a sacred place. And we did this by calling the directions, which is a spiritual practice of Native Americans and pagans who call upon nature and its rhythms to bring healing and balance and wholeness. And so this morning, let's imagine casting a circle by calling first on the powers of the East, which here is this way: Eagle Spirit, bringing gifts of hope and vision. Powers of the East, join our circle. Hail and welcome. Calling on the powers of the South. Coyote Spirit, bringing gifts of passion and laughter. Powers of the South, join our circle. Hail and welcome. Powers of the West, Bear Spirit, bringing gifts of strength, but dreams and transformation. Powers of the West, join our circle. Hail and welcome. And then powers of the North, Buffalo Spirit, bringing gifts of strength and endurance. Join our circle. Hail and welcome. Powers of the center, powers above, powers below, those who have come before us and those who will come after us. Bring your gifts of wisdom and abundance. Powers of the center, join our circle. Hail and welcome. And now our sacred circle is cast, and we are between the worlds. What happens between the world changes the world. Now join me in a moment of silence as we imagine ourselves gathered in this sacred circle. You know, time and space are illusions anyway. And then sit back and enjoy the story of the rebirth of the sun.
The rebirth of the sun. Circle round and I'll tell you a story about when the sun was born again. It was the middle of winter and the sun had grown very old. All year long, the sun worked very hard, rising and setting day after day. All year long, the sun had fed everybody on earth, shining and shining, giving energy to the trees and the flowers and the grasses so they could grow and feed the animals and birds and insects and people. All year, the sun's gravity held tight to the spinning ball of the earth and the twirling ball of the moon and the 8 other whirling planets as they traveled around and around and around, until the tired sun was dizzy from watching it all. Now the sun could barely make it up in the morning, and after a short time needed to sleep again. So the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer, until the day was so short it was hardly worth getting up for. Night felt sorry for the sun. "Come to my arms and rest, child," she said. "After all, I am your mother. You were born out of my darkness billions of years ago, and you will return to me when all things end. Let me cradle you now as I shelter every galaxy and star in the universe." So night wrapped her arms around the sun, and the night became very long indeed. "Why does the dark go on so long?" asked children all over the earth. "Won't the sun ever come back again?" The old one said, "The sun is very tired, but maybe if you children say thank you for all the things the sun does for us, the light may return in the morning." The children listened and they heard. The children sang songs to the sun. They thought about all the things the sun gave them, like rain and rainbows, like day and night, like flowers and whales and seashells. "Thank you for growing the lettuces and the corn and the rice and the wheat," the children said. "Thank you for growing the trees of the forest and the seaweed in the oceans and the krill that feeds the whales. Thank you for stirring the air and making winds that bring the rain." Each time a child said thank you, the sun began to feel a little warmer and a little brighter. Wrapped safely in the arms of night, the sun grew younger and younger. At long last, the children had to go to bed. "We will wait up and wait for the sun to rise again," the old one said. "Can't we stay up too?" the children asked. The old ones responded, "You can try, but you will get too sleepy. If you each light a candle, because all fire is a spark of the sun's fire, the sun will see you. Put your candles lit in a very safe place and let it keep vigil for you as you sleep and dream of sunrise." So the children lit their candles and put them in a very safe place. Each flame was a tiny little spark of the sun's fire. And the sun peeped out from between the arms of night and saw all the little fires and began to feel warmer and brighter and younger still, thanks to the children. Early in the morning, the old ones woke the children, and together they climbed a hill, faced to the east, the direction of sunrise, and sang songs. Until the sun came up, they ran around trying to keep warm, and waited to see what the dawn would bring. The sun began to turn from black to indigo to blue. The sky became light, and slowly a golden glow crept over the horizon. Night opened her great arms, and in a burst of brightness the sun appeared, new and strong and shining. For in the long night the sun had rested well and grown young from the songs and the thanks of the children, young as a brand new baby, born out of night once more. Everybody cheered, and the children jumped up and down in joy, for this new day was here. The sun has returned, the people cried. The sun is reborn. And they danced and sang to celebrate the birth of a new day, and then went home to eat breakfast together.
The sun is reborn. And now Fred, our resident historian, will tell us a little bit about the pagan roots of Christmas.
Okay. This is going to be a reflection on the holiday season that starts this week. Tomorrow's the solstice, Thursday is Christmas Eve, and then we have Christmas, and the following week we have New Year's Day. Solstice is the shortest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. The farther north a person goes, the colder it gets. The winter solstice has been celebrated as a day that the light starts to return and continually gets brighter and brighter until the summer solstice on June 22nd. Numerous celebrations take place all over the world and have for literally thousands of years. The celebrations are for the return of the sun, renewal, joy, and hope. The pagan solstice and how their celebrations affected our holiday are the subject of my reflection today. Paganism was the predominant religion in the northern part of Europe and the British Islands. As with the ancient cultures, this religion was based on nature because the hunters and farmers were totally dependent on the elements. It is said that the hunters were in the north 2 million years and the farmers for 10,000 years. And of course, the 10,000 years also included honey. Their religion was probably more accurately described as their traditions. One feature of their culture was to celebrate the solstice. With the intersection of their culture and Christians, we got our Christmas traditions, which I will discuss shortly. The pagans from whom we get our tradition lived in Scandinavia. We know that Bethlehem had no snow or cold or reindeer or heavy coats. These were things that came from Scandinavia. Now, what were the Christmas traditions that we inherited from the pagans? We got reindeer pulling sleighs. The story of reindeer, the legend of Rudolph, has become known as a worldwide story since it was published in 1939. One legend was that the god Thor was transported in a chariot drawn by goats that turned into reindeer. Thor, the thunder god, was the son of Odin, who was the first Santa Claus or father of Christmas. He was, among other things, the god of poetry, and he was the ruler of the gods. He was known for being seen flying his sled down, drawn by 8 reindeer in the sky. There are 5 legends about St. Nicholas, but none of them are original. They're all 5 originated with Christianity. Odin was the original father of Christmas. The 12 days of Christmas, actually, even though there's a song about the 12 days of Christmas, Christians put an end to the 12 days of celebrating and consolidated into one day on December 25th. There was also a history or a tradition of feasting among the pagans. They would eat for days all the surplus food and make merry time. This was rejected by the Christians as detracting from the solemnness that was displayed by Christmas. So at least originally, it did not add joy to the solstice. The Christians did not add joy to the solstice celebration. The ancient celebration was incorporated to a much more somber religion. Carols, Christmas carols, were actually seasonal songs to drive away evil. People went door to door singing. Don't know how they eventually became joyful. I don't know if it was the Christians or the pagans, but now they're primarily joyful. Deck the halls was a sign of life. Anything green that was still green should come in the house. Some went over the door like evergreens. Christmas trees did not come from the pagans, but came from the Germans in the 16th and 17th century. Wreaths were a pagan celebration of the circle of lives. Christians adapted to a symbol of the eternal nature of Christ. Holly honors the pagan king of winter. Christians made it a symbol of the blood of Christ. Ivy was not associated with holly in those days with the pagans. It was a symbol of death and the fight for survival. The Christians somehow came to civilize the Virgin Mary. Holly and ivy were seen as male and female, with male being the holly. Mistletoe was peace and enchantment and love, of course. The Puritans prohibited it very predictably. The Yule log has many legends. I would go with keeping the fire burning while people continued to party. Gifts go back to the Roman festival of Sigilla, the sun god. This has been an overview of the roots of the traditions. Each tradition has a longer story that you may want to read more about during this holiday season. So that's that.
Thank you, Fred. And when I said a resident historian, you know our primary resident historian is Barbara Fleming. But I've noticed that Fred really likes to dig into the history. And so now a story in song about the Christians and the pagans.
Amber called her uncle, said we're up here for the holiday. Jane and I were having solstice, now we need a place to stay. And her Christ-loving uncle watched his wife hang Mary on a tree. He watched his son hang candy canes all made with red dye number 3. He told his niece it's Christmas Eve, I know our life is not your style. She said Christmas is like solstice and we miss you and it's been a while. So the Christians and the pagans sat together at the table, finding faith and common ground the best that they were able. Just before the meal was served, hands were held and prayers were said, sending hope for peace on earth to all their gods and goddesses. The food was great, the tree plugged in, the meal had gone without a hitch, till Timmy turned to Amber and said, is it true that you're a witch? His mom jumped up and said the pies are burning, and she hit the kitchen, and it was Jane who spoke. She said, it's true, your cousin's not a Christian, but we love trees, we love the snow, the friends we have, the world we share, and you find magic from your God, and we find magic everywhere. So the Christians and the pagans sat together at the table, finding faith and common ground the best that they were able. Now where does magic come from? I think magic's in the learning, 'cause now when Christians sit with pagans, only pumpkin pies are burning. When Amber tried to do the dishes, her aunt said, really no, don't bother. Amber's uncle saw how Amber looked like him and like her father. He thought about his brother, how they hadn't spoken in a year. He thought he'd call him up and say it's Christmas and your daughter's here. He thought of fathers, sons, and brothers, saw his own son tug his sleeve, saying, "Can I be a pagan?" Dad said, "We'll discuss it when they leave." So the Christians and the pagans sat together at the table, finding faith and common ground, the best that they were able, lighting trees in darkness, learning new ways from the old, and making sense of history and drawing warmth out of the cold.
And now let's share our joys and sorrows today by typing into the chat box, and I'll read them. We have a very long service today, and part of that is because of the abundance of wishes that I'll read to you later in the service. And so we have from Glenn Pease to everyone, Dar Williams is the one who wrote that delightful song, The Christians and the Pagans. And Nicole thanks us for that. So does anyone have joys or sorrows that you would like to share? I know that Kent has a sorrow because his wife, Jenny, is declining in health. And I called her the other night. Jennifer Buckmeyer was good to tell me about this turn of events. So the nurse put me through, and I was able to sing Comfort Me and Safe Passage to her, and I thanked her for being one of the charter members who helped to found this congregation along with Kent and some of others of you who are here. Thanked her for her work as a therapist. And even though it didn't seem that she was responsive, I think many of you who have experienced people who are dying know that even if they appear to be unconscious, that they still can hear and sense what people are saying. So Brenda expresses sorrow. My dear father-in-law, Chris, passed, and we got to say goodbye. And the joy is the support that Brenda and her family get from this community. Welcome home, Brenda. And Nicole expresses her great joy that tomorrow is the first day of the age of Aquarius. Let's see. And Fran has a joy that Ryan Marvel will have a concert from his home on Wednesday. At 7 o'clock. So you can take a look on Facebook and find out more about that. You know, tomorrow night, during our holiday service of healing, I'm hoping a lot of you come to that because you will have a chance there to share more. I don't know why my screen keeps going. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and say together, in our joy and in our sorrow, in our joy and in our sorrow, we are not alone. We are not alone. So now to the solstice wreath. For those of you who have been in our sanctuary in years past, you know that what we would do is introduce our ritual and then put on some quiet music, and people would take turns coming up with the little slips of paper that they were given when they first came into the sanctuary and had written on it their wish, and then walk up in silence and attach it to one of the wreaths that we would then take the next night to burn. Yeah, thank you, Kent. He held up a picture of him and Ginny when they were younger, Ginny, his wife. So because of the fact that we couldn't get together physically this year, I asked you to send me your solstice wishes. And what I'd like to do now is to go ahead and read them out loud. And I will also include them in my minister's column in the January newsletter. So Chad, if you want to go ahead and put up our bonfire. So these are wishes for the coming year and things that people would like to let go of. A wish for overwhelming kindness. May 2021 bring relief from the pandemic and resources for those so severely impacted. May 2021 bring honor and stability to our government and policies with actions to improve the lives of our people. May I give back to the community for all it's given me. My hope is for harmony and peace, and also for the ability to meet together to burn the solstice wreath next year. May all kids get back to normal learning and find a way to make up for their losses. Our wishes are for continued safety and healing, and the wish to let go of imagined guilt. My deepest wish is to be free of pain, mind, body, soul, and spirit, and to survive within chemical restraints. I wish for the pain and hostility of the lawsuits to be settled and for stability to return to my family. Wishing that the medical personnel get through their nightmares safe, sane, and healthy. It is so painful to watch every night on the news, especially when they also have to show the other end of the spectrum as well. That President Biden is able to bring the Republican Party back into reality. That we have everyone vaccinated to conquer COVID-19. That the 2020 burned areas begin to sprout new life. Letting go of holiday traditions that no longer bring pleasure or serve my beliefs. Wishing for sanity in our government and some cooperation across the aisle to get us back on track and moving forward in our country. My wishes for the new year are peace and healing in all ways. My wish is that we can understand the far right and bring them back into the fold by helping them understand their hate. I would like to send into the ether my anger with people who have conservative leanings. The clock is ticking. Now is not the time to dilly-dally. Get yourself back on track. I wish for a calmer 2021 than this year with the new president, a more predictable and democratic governance. The end of the detention of immigrants and many people being allowed to stay in our country. The end of the pandemic. Everyone living up to our Buddha natures. To have one true love. To lose a tendency to waste time. I wish for a kinder and more gentle world in 2021. Loving ourselves, one another, and our world with a fealty to truth, trustworthiness, and compassion. I'm hoping for a big decrease in virtual meetings, Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, and a big increase in opportunities to visit with family and friends in person. This wish includes actual hugs. I wish to let go of worry. I used to think that if I thought of every bad thing that could possibly happen, that would be kind of like insurance, that it wouldn't happen. The more bad things I thought of, the safer I would be. I realize how misguided that is. I still tend to worry way too much, so I want to let go of worry. It doesn't help and just causes undue stress. I wish to let go of emotional baggage related to past life choices, which cannot be changed and which keeps me bogged down. My wishes for the new year of 2021 are world relief from the pandemic, peaceful collaboration of government officials to provide for people in need, and that we all develop a new relationship and respect for planet Earth and our place in the universal scheme of existence. Love to all, because that's what it's all about. Please, God, keep my family safe during this pandemic. Help us to see one another again. And finally, world peace and happiness. So thank you so much to each and every one of you who sent these wishes. In some ways, this is very special because usually the wishes are not only anonymous, but we never get to hear them. And this year, we got to share the rich treasure of all our hopes and dreams. And I know that some of you may not have had a chance to send them in, or maybe now you have some additional ideas. So all of the wishes and the letting go that's in your hearts will be on our imaginary wreath tomorrow night. So thank you. And to bless the Yule wheel, as we prepare for the longest night, may we remember that it is a pregnant darkness, a womb of darkness, a laboring darkness that will give birth to the returning light. And may we envision tomorrow night when we gather for our holiday service of healing, the imaginary wreaths decorated with our heartfelt wishes will be transformed by the imaginary fire as the imaginary smoke carries our hopes and dreams into the sky. And you know also that tomorrow night is the brightest of the great confluence of Jupiter and Saturn. So I hope that you all will take some time to go out and look into the night sky and see that bright. It looks like a star. And our offering now is still in the quarter where we're donating to Alternatives to Violence, which is our local organization that provides resources and support for people who are experiencing domestic violence, assault, human trafficking. You're also able to give more to our giving tree. Remember last week when Arthur Goldsype said already that we have over $3,000 in donations to the 3 groups that we're giving to this year. So continue with your generosity, and it's now time to receive the offertory. And some of you will recognize the song that now will be playing. It's by Lamana.
Return, 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 the earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, 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 the earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, 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 aye.
we dedicate ourselves and these our offerings to the vision of this congregation, which is to radiate love, peace, and justice as together we work to build beloved community. Thank you. And now, Fred, if you will read our chalice extinguishing words.
We extinguish this flame with faith to face our challenges, with love that casts out fears, with hope to trust tomorrow. We accept this day as the gift that it is, a reason for rejoicing.
And now to thank and release the directions as we open our sacred circle. Powers of the center, powers above, powers below, those who have come before us and those who will come after us. Thank you for your gifts of abundance and wisdom. We release you. Hail and farewell. And powers of the north, buffalo spirit. Thank you for your gifts of strength and endurance. We release you. Hail and farewell. Powers of the west, bear spirit. We thank you for your gifts of dreams and transformation. We release you. Hail and farewell. Powers of the south, coyote spirit. We thank you for your gifts of passion and laughter. We release you. Hail and farewell. And powers of the east, eagle spirit. We thank you for your gifts of hope and vision. We release you. Hail and farewell. Now the circle is open but unbroken. Merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And now our closing song, May the Circle Be Open.
May the circle be open, but unbroken. May the peace of the goddess be ever in your heart. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. May the circle be open, but unbroken. May the peace of the goddess be ever in your heart. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again.
Blessed be. And I hope that we meet again, many of us, tomorrow night, where we have our holiday service of healing. Usually we hold it a little bit earlier in December, but it's for all of those who would like to have some more intimate, quiet time in a trusted circle. And I think tomorrow night will be particularly special, partly because of the year that we have been in, and also it also coincides with the winter solstice. So I hope that you can join Janet Gillette and I. We're calling it When Hope is Hard to Find. And then on Thursday, you have an opportunity to play 2 pre-recorded services. Janet has already recorded her family service with some of the kids, which I think will be delightful. And it will be posted on our website and sent around as an email blast. And also the later contemplative service, which will feature our favorite musicians, Tim Bob, will also be pre-recorded and accessible on Christmas Eve day. Actually, it'll be accessible anytime. So I'm sorry that we won't be physically together, nor will we even be virtually together like this, but I think that the flexibility will be a kind of gift. And so now let's go ahead and Chad, if you can put us in the smaller breakout rooms. If I don't see you again, happy solstice, Merry Christmas, blessed be. So long, everyone. Take care.
Laurel? Too
Yeah.
late. I'm going to send you a picture. You may already have it of this tree. I made this a couple decades ago, a photo, and you might find it interesting. You do
Okay.
whatever you want with it. Okay,
All right.
thanks.
Thanks. Bye, everybody. Great to see you. See you tomorrow night, too.
Happy holidays, everybody. I'm going to go have lunch.
Great.
Okay.
See you tomorrow, Laurel.
Bye,
All right.
everyone. See you guys tomorrow.
Okay, bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
How do I get out of here?
Thank you for the email, Laura.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I hope that your shoulder feels better. Your puppy. Aw. I can't hear you, but I see your dog and you. You're a very, oh, wow. Poor baby. Well, us mothers do what we need to do. Okay, I gotta say farewell. We have another minister in the house who needs to do his service next.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.